This is how I run all of my appointments. And it's awesome because it feels so smooth. It doesn't feel pushy. My mouth doesn't go dry from talking the whole time. My relationship with people is better. My customers are like happy. When they sign up, they sign up. Like it's like they don't sign up to cancel when we do it this way. All right, guys, this is where I share with you the exact framework that I paid Jeremy Miner $7,000 to learn. Do I regret it? No, not at all. And here's where I tell you why. Now, just a heads up, this is a general overview of the framework, the NEPQ framework that I learned. And I use this in all of my appointments. In the future videos is where we're going to break down word for word, what do we say in each step of this framework? But here's where you're going to get the mindset and the structure and the flow of how this appointment should run. Now, the first thing that you need to be aware of, if you don't speak from a place of detachment, none of this will work. And here's what I mean by that. When I learned to sell, it was very focused on me, my company. This is why what I do is the best. This is how it's going to help you. I wouldn't say pushy, but very enthusiastic. And Jeremy, he takes that and he pulls it back a little bit and puts the focus completely on the customer. And so for my appointment, the frame that I hold the whole time, I come from a place of, look, I only want to do this if it helps you. And if we both agree that it's something that you think is going to be beneficial. And the only way we're going to know if it's something that actually helps you is if we look at your situation, we look at how you feel about your situation, what you want to change about your situation. And then if my offer can help you close that gap between where you are and where you want to be. And if we think so, cool. And if not, it's not a big deal. And I'm going to be out of here. So coming from that place of detachment, that has to underline your entire process, at least until the end, until there's that certainty that, yeah, this will help you. Now you're certain about it. But in the beginning, you're detached and you're like, I don't need this. And you're from a place of authority, right? I have so many customers. I have so many people want my time. Honestly, it's a blessing for you that I'm choosing to take this time to sit down and focus on you. So if they don't value your time, and I've had people, I sit down and they're like, I really don't want to do this. I just leave. Like, don't waste your time with people like that. Sure, like push once or twice and throw something out there to see if you can put a gap in their thinking. But if they're like, yeah, like I'll sit through this, but at the end, anyways, you get what I'm saying. So look, the first part of this process, Jeremy's process starts with connecting. For the solar appointment, specifically when I walk in the house, setting the stage and providing some context to what we're going to be doing, I found to be very useful. Different people have different levels of understanding of solar and different solar programs and the solar process. And so finding out a little bit about their situation with solar, their understanding of solar, their expectations, that leads into this connecting phase. But also when I'm setting the stage, I'll have them grab a piece of paper and a pen. I'll have them open their Edison account. I'll set up whatever I need to do to set up the rest of my process for success. I do it right here at the beginning. Set some expectations, tell them how the appointment's going to go, whatever this person needs in order for the rest of this to be successful. And so that transfers into this conversation of connecting, right? And you'll notice 80% of this appointment is discovery. This is you don't sell them in your presentation and you're committing. No, this is where people decide if they're sold or not, is discovery. And what are we discovering? Well, first we're going to find out about their situation. We're going to find out if they have a problem. And what's a problem? Well, it's a gap between where they are and where they want to be, something they want to change about their situation. And then solution, right? Like that's the gap, right? Where are you now and where do you want to be? And then part of solution also is, what would it do for you if you were able to get there? How important is it for you to close that gap? Because for some people, they're like, I'll just live in pain. I'll just suffer, put my head in the sand and pay the rate increases forever. Other people, they're like, dude, I can't handle this anymore. And your job, if you really look into their situation and you help them see, hey, your power company's doubled your rates in 5 years. You're paying, like I have people that are like, I pay $400 on average. Like that's my bill most of the year. Like it's always right around 400. And so when we look at their situation, I'm like, pull your Edison account up. And they paid $900 for a single bill last summer. They're like, oh yeah, I must have forgotten about that. Yeah, that's an important detail that they forgot about that needs to be brought to their awareness before you can go on to your presentation. because otherwise your presentation, it's not going to land the same. So this is the NEPQ process right here though. Connection. Hey, before I talk about myself, tell me what's important to you. What are you curious about? What did I say on the doorstep that was interesting to you? Like what's on your mind? What do you know about solar? Why haven't you gone solar in the past? Let them talk. Let them connecting is just let them get whatever's on their mind, let them get it out. Situation. Hey, your power bill, how much power do you use? What do you pay for that power? Oh, you don't know. Well, let's look. What did you pay for that power 5 years ago? What do you think you're going to pay for that power in 2 years? Since they projected these rate increases, it's on your bill right here. They're raising our rates 15 to 20% every single year for the next 3 years. What do you think this bill is going to be 3 years from now? Okay. And then problem. So what would you change about this situation? Now problem, we'll do a full video on that, because just saying, hey, like, do you like Edison? Do you like your power company? Like that doesn't really land all the time. If you set it up properly, it can. But saying like, hey, what do you want to change about your electric bill? It's like, dummy, of course, no one wants to pay an electric bill. Like, of course I want it to be lower, right? And so landing the problem and getting them to say what they want to change is important. Not just you saying, hey, this is what you want to change, but the whole purpose of discovery is to get them to say what their situation is, what their problem is, what the solution to their problem is, and what the consequences are of inaction. Because if they say it, it's truth. If you say it, who knows if they believe it. But if they're the ones saying all of these things, that's where the motivation to change comes from. That's where you and them are both on the same page as to what their situation is and what they want to do about it. After you've discovered, this is like the majority of my appointment right here, discovery. After I've discovered, I will transition into my presentation, which my presentation is basically just everything they told me in discovery. That's what this is right here. Hey, this is the problem. You know, we talked about how your rates are going up. You pay tiers and time of use rates, on peak, off peak rates, and they're expensive. We have the most expensive rates in the nation. The solar rate gets you down onto a single tier. And I draw this all out on a piece of paper for them. I'll do a separate video. I'll link it here for about that one. But I say, look, I draw it out visually so they can see the problem. I draw out the electric rates. I write out what they are. And then the solution, the reason we do this, you see these diamonds? You know why when you go to a jeweler, they put the diamonds on a black backdrop? It's because they shine brighter when there's the contrast between the black and the diamonds. Now, if you were to just go, a lot of people, they go to their presentation and they just present their word vomit, their solution. Like, that's all right, but that's just a diamond without a backdrop. If you paint a good problem picture in discovery and in your presentation, that's when your diamond shines. When your solution, this like amazing thing that can really help them, they need to see it in contrast to their situation. So make sure that you're reminding them of what the problem is that your solution is solving. And so this is quick. Like I give them a full rundown of like the whole solar service, the ins and outs. How does it work if we move? I handle a few concerns. I get ahead of them. And I contrast it with the problem constantly, always back and forth, problem, solution, showing them, hey, this is your situation with Edison. This is what your situation would be if we got approved for solar. And this is where I'll pull back and I'll say, look, I should tell you, like, this is something that has to be applied for and approved of. They don't just fund every project. And so anyways, if you think it's helpful, we can submit an application, not now, in a little bit, and then I go right back into it. But I'll throw that in there to start hinting and seeding that, yeah, like you got to apply if you want to do this. And then by this point, they're usually just wondering, like, is it too good to be true, or they're sold. It's like, it's one of those two things. And so anyways, sometimes we have to handle a couple concerns, answer questions, and then we go to committing, and it's quick, dude. It's the questions. Hey, do you see how this would help you? And they always say yes. And you say, okay, but can you tell me how, or why would it help you? There are ways to ask why without saying why, right? Can you tell me how, or what is it about this that you think would help you the most? Or what is it about this that's different than other solar options you've looked at in the past? And then you commit, right? So if it doesn't cost you anything, I got this from Ashton Buswell, such a good line to transition. If it doesn't cost you anything to get started and it's going to save you money, is there any reason not to submit an application now and see if the home meets the program requirements? I was like, no, like, let's do it. And asking it as a no question, that's money. Another one I'll use, I'll say, so Mr. Johnson, that's all I have to go over with you. Really, the next step is to schedule a site assessment on the home to see if it meets the program requirements. Because I'm not quite sure it would yet. Would that be appropriate? And then they will say yes. If you do all this right, they will say yes. Now, at the end, after we sign docs, verification call, everything's done. On my way out, I do a few things to solidify the appointment. If you do this long enough, you know what causes deals to fall off after you sign them. So getting ahead of concerns, you know which concerns people tend to have. Moving, they talk to their friends, they talk to their neighbors. One that I see Taylor McCarthy do, like he'll take a selfie video with the people after they sign, and he says, look, if you go talk to your mom and she says, stay with the power company, they're better, what are you going to say to them? And they're like, heck no, right? Like you can do things, and then if they try to cancel, you send them that video, right? And then, or like, and getting ahead of permit poachers. It's sad that we have to say this, but like there's dudes who go out and they look at open permits and they go and swipe your deals, prepping them for stuff that could come up and cause them another thing, right? For example, expectations and timeline. If your installer is messy, prep them for it. Like I used to have a messy installer. I don't anymore. But if you used to have, if you have a messy installer who like communication's not that great, timeline's a little shaky, tell them like, look, no news is good news. It's not the fastest service, but like whatever you got to say to help them get ahead of that stuff, right? Like, okay, like it's probably like I would under promise, over deliver. I would always tell people when I had my bad installer that would just take forever. Like, yeah, it's probably like 2 to 3 months to get panels on the roof, and then another month or two to get them turned on. And then it was always faster than that, usually, but sometimes not. So, anyways, do what you need to solidify it to make sure that if they go to cancel, you have a backup plan so that you can say, hey, whoa, whoa, whoa. We talked about this, and pull them back in. So there's your overview. NEPQ framework is really just this part here and a little bit of presentation. And these are NEPQ committing questions. But this is how I run all of my appointments. And it's awesome because it feels so smooth. It doesn't feel pushy. My mouth doesn't go dry from talking the whole time. My relationship with people is better. My customers are like happy. When they sign up, they sign up. Like it's like they don't sign up to cancel when we do it this way and we do it right. So anyways, we will break down each phase more specifically in the future videos. Click on it. Let's see it. Peace.